So on that, I'd like to do a little exercise, a little meditation here. And I have all of you had meditation instructions. Anyone that hasn't? Good. Because what we're going to do is Tong Len. But first, I like to do a little bit of sitting meditation so that our minds settle down. And I'm going to take my watch off here so I can time this. Actually, before I do that, I wrote a little exercise here down on Lama. I had Lama Losong read it recently when he was at my center, and I'm just going to read it, and then we're going to do this practice. It's a practice of loving ourselves. And because of my prison experience, I call this prison break. Make it a little interesting. And again, since I lived through the 70s and remember the 70s, I begin it with a little line from the Eagles, you know, that rock and roll group. And I have to say, I was grocery shopping last week, and they were playing this very song over the PA system, so long live the Eagles. The line is this, so I'll just read this. So oftentimes it happens that we live our lives in chains, and we never even know we have the key. People who have experienced trauma can live in a prison, a prisoner of their past. Even though they haven't experienced trauma for years, even decades, they are behaving like it is still happening. It is a prison full of habitual patterns, impulsive reactions, anxiety, compulsive behavior, self-loathing, suffering, and unhappiness. Yet it is familiar, normal, and therefore somewhat comfortable. When one experiences actual trauma, it is out of your control. If it was under your control, you could cause it to stop. In this prison, you are in control, and the familiar feels safer. It is common in an actual prison for long-term inmates to become so comfortable in prison they are afraid of being released. This prison is no different. Like in an actual prison, there are many different locks and matching keys to keep you from escaping. One is made of fear of uncertainty. Locks can also be made of habitual patterns. Self-loathing is the third lock. One feels this familiar, painful pattern is comfortable and safe. You can become so imprisoned and confused that you don't recognize true happiness, and your suffering becomes normal. A person who had childhood trauma told me, quote, "Happiness is such a vague concept. In this prison, there is an inner voice, like an internet troll, that constantly is giving the prisoner negative thoughts. Thoughts of guilt, anger towards oneself, self-loathing, anxiety. Messages like, I constantly fail. I'm not as good as others. It can get nasty with thoughts like, I'm an expletive-deleted idiot. I'm a terrible person. I might as well kill myself. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being completely good and 1 being completely bad, many traumatized people will rank themselves as a 2 or even a 1. They take the troll seriously and do not realize it is not an accurate picture of themselves. The key to this lock is love and compassion. This is a completely workable situation. A person in this prison-like situation needs to have the desire to escape. You cannot break out otherwise. There is no release date. No one can break in and open the lock for you. Then the troll needs to be recognized. The way out continues with learning to love yourself. Not because you earned it, but just because you are a living human being. You are just as valuable as everyone else. You can learn to love yourself without having to earn it. There is a Tibetan saying, if you have a warm place in your heart for yourself, you will be comfortable wherever you go. That warm place is one of love and compassion towards oneself. There is a practice you can do to strengthen your love and compassion for yourself. Remember, you are a worthy recipient of love and compassion. You will be a happier, kinder person with a warm place in your heart for yourself. Instead of needing love from others, you will be able to give more love to others. We can learn to nurture that warm place. Here is a simple practice or exercise in growing that warm place. This is the key to opening the lock of self-loathing. The practice is called taking and sending, Tong Len in Tibetan. It is a practice of sending love and removing suffering. It is best to sit cross-legged on a meditation cushion on the floor, as you would when meditating. It also can be done in a chair. Visualize you in the future, perhaps 10 minutes in the future, sitting in front, facing you. When you breathe in, imagine you are inhaling black smoke coming from the visualized you in front. It carries with it your suffering, your self-loathing, stress, anger towards yourself, helplessness, powerlessness, any negative feelings you have towards yourself. Everything the troll tells you is in the smoke. The smoke can contain anything that you hold on to that causes you to suffer. It can be memories of painful events, situations, and people. This part is an exercise in compassion, the wish that people are free of suffering. You are a person and therefore worthy of compassion. If you do not have compassion for yourself, you cannot have compassion for others. Understanding your own suffering helps one understand others' suffering. Compassion for yourself is necessary for spiritual growth and necessary to escape. Think about what causes you to suffer. You may become aware of other things causing you to suffer as a result of this practice. Make a list if you like. Include the items on the list in the black smoke coming from the visualized you in front. You are removing everything mentioned from the future you and inhaling them. The smoke goes into your lungs, dissolves, and disappears. The negativity and suffering does not accumulate in you. Concentrate on a few specific things in one session. The in-breath is short, so you are breathing as you are breathing normally. When exhaling, we are preparing that warm place in our heart. Love is wanting people to be happy, and again, remember you are a person too and worthy of love without earning it. When you have been traumatized, it can be difficult to know and experience love free from negative emotions. Fondness, tenderness, warmth, non-sexual intimacy are associated with love in this practice. In that warm place, you treat yourself like a loving mother treats her infant. Whatever the child does, the mother responds with tenderness, warmth, fondness, and gentleness. When you exhale, breathe out white light, which goes into the you in front and soaks into you. Like the future you is sunbathing and soaking up the sunlight. The light carries with it contentment, satisfaction, cheerfulness, joy, delight, well-being, lightheartedness, forgiveness, transferring it from the present you to the future you. It can carry anything that makes you truly happy. When inhaling, you remove the things that cause you to suffer. Now, think of the antidote and give it to the future you, the antidote of the things that cause you to suffer. This is love. Intimacy is that you allow yourself to look into the places where fear and loathing lurk. Then you can apply the remedy, love. Now you can have that love you may have never had as a child or even as an adult. Now you can start working with the troll. Become friends, get to know him or her. But remember, sometimes friends give bad advice, and you do not need to believe it or follow it. You don't need to fear the troll either, because it loses its power the moment you cease to believe it. This practice is intended to be done regularly for 5 or 10 minutes. As you do more, it is fine to extend the time if you like. During any one session, you can concentrate on a few things to inhale and a few other things to exhale. Use whatever is needed most at the time. One day it might be anger and forgiveness, another fear and fearlessness. This way the lock slowly opens. You discover the guard, the troll, gives bad advice and cannot control you if you do not take it seriously. You begin to see the troll is suffering immense pain because he or she had bad experiences in the past and is holding on to them. We find the key to the prison door is now in our hands. Open the door and venture out into the present. Take that warm spot in your heart with you. Now you can be more compassionate and loving with those who you encounter in your daily life. Compassion is contagious. So, now we're going to do this practice. Are there any questions, by the way, before we start? Okay. So we'll meditate for a few minutes, and when we start the Tong Len, I'll then give a very brief guided meditation to begin it. Now we'll begin Tong Len. So visualize yourself 10 minutes in the future in front of you. And then as you are inhaling, you're taking whatever it is that causes you to suffer, especially attitudes towards yourself, feeling powerless or hopeless, feeling terribly flawed, feeling bad, fear, anxiety, whatever it is. You breathe in that, and it comes from the you in front in the form of black smoke. You breathe it in, and then it dissolves into your lungs and disappears. When you exhale, then exhale things that are the remedy for that, things that will make you happy. Fearlessness, forgiveness, contentment, joy, well-being, and so forth. And they come from you in the form of light and soak into the you in front. And so just do this, breathing normally for a few minutes, and then I'll signal when we'll end. Return to shamatha. It has been 10 minutes since we started, so you have now become the future you. And the you who started is now history.